Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friends Occasionally Not Disagreeing. I'm Cody, and we're here to talk about some video games tonight. We have a full house for you as far as our hosts go tonight, with Dave and Blue on the same episode. And also
Oh
Brett is
yeah,
here
that's
as
true.
well. So there we go. We got a full gamut of video game experts here today. We'll talk about some games here in a minute. We'll let the host briefly tell them what they've been up to. So who wants to go first here? Let's go, Blue. What do you got? What have you been up to?
One, it's a momentous occasion. Just want to name I'm excited to be back and join Dave, and hopefully we will disagree at points. What have I been up to? I have been doing a lot of woodworking, just bought a new house, so filling it up with things and trying to do that on a budget. And the best way to do it is
To grow a beard.
grow a beard, and then find gently used furniture and redo it. And then if I do have a moment beyond that, I've been playing Fallout New Vegas for the first time, which is pretty delightful.
Nice.
And Bleak.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And what was the last thing you said?
Bleak,
Oh.
I feel like that's the future of Las Vegas, at least. No water.
Well, yes, but people keep moving there, so there's that. No commentary, listeners in the southwest. God, I mixed up your geography here. Anyway, Dave, what have you been up to?
I've been lamenting the fact that we didn't do this for the 64th episode. We're so close. That's
that is a missed opportunity.
Anyway, the last episode I was on, we were talking about games that we were anticipating in 2023, and I said Hitman Freelancer, and I said PSVR 2, and that's basically been everything I'm doing in my free time lately is enjoying both of those very much.
Awesome.
Just
And Cody,
murdering people.
we gotta play some Resident Evil 8 in VR together.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Although 4 is coming out soon enough that we'll probably do that.
Yeah. Sounds awesome. All right. Brett, what have you been up to?
Well, a couple of things I catch up on that I've actually been doing and I just haven't taken the time to mention in previous episodes, but I've actually started bowling again. Which for most people is probably like, okay, no big deal. But for me, I was like huge into bowling for like basically my entire life. And then when COVID hit, it's like I just shut it all down. And I didn't pick up a bowling ball for 3 years, which was like hadn't happened since I was 6 years old. So
Wow.
But yeah, I've been bowling now for about a month back in league, and it's been a lot of fun. So excited to do that. I also I've binged through this whole season already, and that was like weeks ago already. But The Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon is really, really good. If that's a show that you haven't seen, and if you're it's an animated, it's not anime exactly. I wouldn't classify it anime exactly. It's more like animated, but it's from the Critical Role group, which does a lot of Dungeons and Dragons content, and it's essentially like watching a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. It's like just all the classic kind of team characters and roles, and there's a lot of great humor in it, and it's definitely very adult at times. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Was it now? It was the third season. Yeah. No, second season. Gosh, I'm losing it here.
Looks like they have two, I see.
It's 2 seasons, yeah. Gosh, completely. But yeah, both skins are really good. And in the gaming world, I've been just like basically just Hogwarts Legacy. I've been kind of binging that every time I can like sneak some time out of playing that, and it's been definitely living up to the hype. It's the only negative I can say about it right now is that some of the voice acting is a little weird. Like they clearly some of these like young teenage characters are clearly being voiced by adults and they don't sound right. But that whatever. But otherwise the gameplay is great. So
How about you, Cody?
Well, I'll share a couple things here. One is I've really been on a crusade this year to finish up video games. So I have finished Dying Light, Hades, and now I just finished Fire Emblem Three Hopes back to back to back. So I started another game, and I did start Assassin's Creed 2, and I have to share with you all, I was in like the third mission, And I don't know who's played Assassin's Creed 2 or not, but essentially it's like a mission where you're learning how to run and like jump and climb and stuff with your brother as he's like challenging you to climb to the top of this roof at the church. And I didn't understand the controls fully. So I like ran halfway up the church and then did like the wall pivot where you spin 180 and fly the other direction off of the map, essentially, of the little thing that I was on. So he won and I lost, and they made me restart the mission. But the fun thing was it glitched. And every time I replayed it, he started already halfway to the ending point. So I was continually getting a little bit better, but he always had a head start of half the distance to me. So finally I got lucky on like the 10th try and just like ran to the actual building and scaled the front of it and barely beat him to like move on to the next thing. And that's where I shut it down last night. I was like, oh my God.
Wait, I have a clarifying question.
Yeah.
Is this, you've played the third one, right?
Yeah, I've only played 3 and 4.
What?
Yep.
How
Nintendo guy. They didn't have these.
Oh man. Well, okay, I understand. But now I'm just like, you basically lost all the Desmond plot, though it doesn't really amount to anything. But
I also didn't realize the game was in Italglish. I don't know what you call English and Italian mixed together, but that's how they speak, and I didn't realize that either. So that's been kind of a trip. So that's what I've been just starting on now. And then I guess personally, another thing I just did this week was starve myself to death. So I'm on day 6 of a diet here where I'm trying to attempt to keep myself on the edge of hunger at all times, other than directly after a meal. So I have thus far lost 6 pounds in 6 days. So this is the best I've ever done, but my stomach is quite hungry right now.
That's my preferred way to lose weight as well.
Is it?
Just not eat.
I mean, I'm eating all my meals. I haven't not eaten anything. I've cut out snacks. I've had like 6 Mike and Ikes over the last 6 days, and that's all I've had for snacks. But I've just done smaller portions and just tried to really keep myself like hungry at all times if I can. So
I love that you're like, there's one food that I just can't say no to, and that is, of course, Mike and Ike's.
Oh, it's so true.
Things.
I tell my students, like, if I open a box, they're gone. That's my vice, man. I can't do it. I just can't.
How's your mood then? Like, since you're just basically hungry.
Yeah, I want to know if this is sustainable
been fine.
at all.
You know, the hard thing is energy. I've just been a little more tired, but it's hard to say because I'm always so tired anyway. So it's like, am I really more tired? I'm not sure.
So
but
why not?
If I can just get down a good chunk and then maybe kind of get some exercise going back in again here, we'll see. So yeah,
if it's getting you results and you feel like it's not hurting your mental health, I think that's great, man. Congrats.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not hurting me. My stomach hurts a little bit because it's hungry, but that's not my mentally is good. It's been good, actually, pretty positive. So all right, well, there's all that stuff for everybody. So we are talking about tonight the Nintendo 64, or is it the N64, or is it the Ultra 64?
Nintendo 64.
Oh, I feel like we've had this debate at one point on an earlier one. I say N64. Do you say Nintendo 64?
I mean,
yes,
it's both. It's
all the same.
Yeah, they're interchangeable.
Wasn't it called the Ultra 64 for a while? Was that a thing, or was that just?
I think that was the code name.
The
when it was being developed, that was the code name for it. I think
they went from Super and then they had to go to Ultra, and GameCube would have been like Mega or some shit. I don't know how that would have worked.
When we can use Justin Henry.
Adjectives.
Tell us all the technical details for us.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, well, in the interest of having 4 hosts tonight, what we're going to do to you is chop down our top 10 list to essentially do a brief mention of 6 through 10 for each of us, and then we will kind of go a little more depth on our top 5 games for the N64. I did feel like when I was making my list, this was maybe predictably a bit of a more top-heavy system when it came to the games, though. So Brett is going to do some aggregates in the background for us here, and we'll see what comes out on top. But I suspect we'll probably have a lot of overlap in the top 10. Just going to be a matter of where they fall. But I also know some of you have some pet games as well for this system. So we'll see what those little fun, quirky ones are that come out here as well. So why don't we... Is it okay with you guys if we do this? If we just have one host give their 6 through 10, and then we'll go to the next host and do 6 through 10, and we'll just knock those out that way?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we'll do the round robin for the top 5. So does anybody want to go first on your ones, or do you want me to go first? I don't care.
You go ahead and
Go for
model
it, Cody.
All right, I'll go first. So I cheated and have 2 honorable mentions below 10. I'm just going to mention my name. Mario Party, which introduced that whole thing, which was really fun. And Pilot Wings 64 was always a favorite of mine. I used to rent all the time and eventually bought a copy of also. I don't know why it was great. I think it had good music, and just the concept of like flying around was always really fun to me. So, okay, here we go. My number 10, probably going to be higher on at least a couple people's lists here. It's Super Smash Brothers, which came out, and I did play a fair amount of while I was in college, but was never really my game per se. I did a lot of fun whenever I'd play it, and I recognized how great it was that like each battle would be always very different from one another. So that's my number 10 game. My number 9 game is the port of Resident Evil 2 that came to the Nintendo 64, which I bought a used copy of secondhand, and just loved having that one. I think that one made use of the expansion pack, which we could talk about, I guess, too. We didn't mention peripherals and add-ons, but that was a fun one. And also, I think the first Nintendo game that was Resident Evil. So that was cool. Number 8 for me is Blast Corps, just because I enjoyed the absurdity of like knocking shit down to help stop whatever it was, a nuclear missile or whatever that was going across the country. And the like wide range of vehicles they had in that game were really fun. Some of them were very control intuitive, and some of them not so much when you try to figure out how the hell to turn with some of those things. My number 7 is Star Fox 64, which I played through many times as a kid. I like the branching system in this. This was also the pack-in with the Rumble Pack, which kind of changed games a little bit in a way also. And just really tight gameplay. The stages were not that different, but it had enough variety that it was fun between like shooting asteroids and ships and dodging and things like that. And the characters were really fun in that one too. And then my number 6, this might surprise maybe some people out there, is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Comes in at number 6 for me, which is fantastic. Zelda 3D, and you know the whole thing about this. The reason this isn't my top 5 is because I don't think I've ever been inclined to go back and play this one again, as great as everybody says it is, which is kind of interesting. So that's why it's down here at my number 6. So those are mine. Who would like to head next here?
I'll go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, we just pause though and tell Cody that he has horrible taste for putting some of these so low. Let's just name that and get it out of the way. And
It wouldn't be an episode if somebody didn't say it.
All right, real quick here for me. Number 10 is Turok: Dinosaur Hunter.
Nice.
Just kind of just classic, kind of like, I don't know. It was just fun just having dinosaurs and stuff. Number 9 for me, Blast Corps, which Cody mentioned already. And yeah, it was just kind of like you just spend your whole time just smashing buildings. There wasn't really a whole lot of reason to. You just did it. I mean, there was a story, but anyways. Number 8, Star Fox 64, which I've always been a fan of flying games, and this is just really cool. And it introduced the Rumble Pack, which was awesome. Those first peripherals. Number 7, I kind of shoved all the Mario parties in together at number 7 here because I couldn't differentiate. Like there was, I think, 3 of them for the system.
3 of them.
Yeah. And like I couldn't tell you which was which or what. Even if I played all 3, I don't know. So, but they're all basically the same. So I shoved
You want the one that had bumper balls, whatever that was. Number 1, that was the one.
That was a good.
I think that was one. Yeah.
And number 6 for me, that might be a little higher for other people, is Perfect Dark, just out of the top 5, which is it was really cool, like first person kind of shooter spy missions, and just a lot of fun. So there you go.
Awesome.
You want me to go, Dave?
Yeah, go for it, dude. Sorry.
Okay. So here's my 10. Number 10 is actually got rated really poorly, but is like, deep down one of my favorite games because I played it so much. But Road Rash 64 had some amazing ragdoll physics, and you just go lightning fast compared to like the 16-bit version. So pretty enjoyable there. I'd say number 9, I would probably say Probably both the Pokemon stadiums. They were pretty good. I liked the use of the transfer pack. They're not necessarily groundbreaking, but they were, I think they've aged poorly. But it's one way to bring like your existing Pokemon onto the big screen. I like the integrations between the N64 and Game Boy. I thought that was pretty cool. 8, I would say, I'm gonna put this down a little bit further, but I think Perfect Dark improved on it in many ways. This could be a controversial take, but I think GoldenEye 007 is number 8 for me. Really love GoldenEye, but I think if there's one game, like Cody said, that I wouldn't go back and necessarily play, he says Ocarina of Time. For me, I just like the single joystick to aim and using the C buttons is not ideal. And maybe there's a better way to configure your controllers. I know that they do some brawler controllers that are, made by third parties that are trying to, I don't know, modernize that console a little bit, but for whatever reason, I just cannot get used to the single stick shooter nowadays. So that was 7, right?
You tell us.
That was kind of, I think that was 7.
Do you not know your list?
It was
that was 7.
007.
Tell us
check
you're
it.
making this up without telling us you're making this up, Lou.
Just being very coy about it. And then number 6, we will go with, believe it or not, another racing game. A little bit obscure, but Beetle Adventure Racing. It's it was probably one of the more solid racing games until one that's going to come up a little bit later. But just love that one. It was around the same time that the new Volkswagen Bug came out. And so it was kind of some pop culture on top of it being a solidly built racing game.
Actually, I think I lied to you. I think that was only you only have 4 numbers here.
Okay, good. All right, then actual number 6 would be Star Fox 64 as well.
Do you have a list, or are you like browsing the Wikipedia list of N64 games and just picking them as you go? I'm
Guys,
so
buckle
confused,
up.
Blue.
We are going for a wild ride tonight. I
God.
have a list of all the ones that I have over here, but I'm just poorly describing them to you. I'm sorry, audience.
All right, Dave, what you got?
All right. Number 10 for me is Paper Mario. It's just a wonderful RPG with really good humor, really great mechanics, and just does a lot of things that I had never seen before in a game at that point in time. Number 9 is NBA Hang Time. It's basically it's a sequel to NBA Jam, essentially, that just really cranked everything up to 11. So many fun cheats and just great gameplay. It was so much fun to play that one. It had kind of a career mode that you could earn stuff with too. It was great. Number 8, surprisingly, another sports game for me, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, which Cody and I played together when we lived together. I think we played a whole season of it.
We might have.
And it was crazy. Like I know nothing about baseball, and so all of my picks were based off of players that were still around from when I collected trading cards as a kid. So I was like, oh, fucking Daryl Strawberry's on my team. I'm all set. This is great. Jose Canseco? Oh, yes, please. Number 6 for me is Mario Kart 64, which just took the original and improved upon it in like every way. A lot of those tracks are still absolute classics for me.
For sure.
And number 6, I got my N64 late, and it came with a pack-in of Diddy Kong Racing, which was just fantastic. So that was really my first N64 game. I had played others, but that was the first one that I owned and really got to get deep into. So Diddy Kong Racing, number 6.
Love that. So before we do the 5, I didn't even pause to ask. So like, did you guys have this as a kid? Like, did you get this when it was new? So Dave, you got this a little bit later?
Yeah, I was late to it. I had been a PC gamer for a while. I completely missed the Super Nintendo generation. And I went to Best Buy one day with some money in my pocket with the intention of buying a DVD ROM drive for my computer, because I thought that would be really cool to watch movies on my computer. I don't know. And then I was like, wait, I can
Yeah.
get an N64 for the same price. What am I even doing?
Wow.
So I made one of the best decisions I've ever made, and never looked back.
That was just a split-second
Nice.
decision you made that day.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's crazy. That's fun. Blue, how about you? When did you first play this?
I think I played the N64 the first time, right? The summer after sixth grade. I'm just gonna date myself here. I was getting my appendix out, and then I was in the hospital recovering, and the hospital had a Nintendo 64, and they brought it in with Wave Race, and like, this is pretty fun. And I was playing with my mom, and she was so terrible, and I was like, it was painful to laugh. I was like, Mom, please stop. Like, it hurts to laugh. And you're just, so that was kind of a fun memory. But then I got one for, I think, the Christmas of either 1998. And so, you got a handful of games there. And yeah, was, not necessarily an emphatic Nintendo 64 kid, like screaming because I got it at Christmas. But yeah, I do enjoy my Nintendo 64, though I think it has, aged probably the worst out of most of the none of those jaggy consoles like PS1 is pretty brutal to play now, but still has a warm spot in my heart.
For sure. Brett, how about you?
I don't remember precisely the timing of when I got this. I want to say I was maybe like 12. I don't know. I think I have a hazy memory of this one, this being the one where my mom said, okay, that you have too many consoles, you have to sell the old ones. And so I think this is the one where we bought the 64 and we sold the NES.
Okay.
I think that's what happened, but I don't remember the timing exactly. I have very hazy memories of it.
According to Wikipedia, this came out from 96 to 2002, which puts a little
I was
older than I would have, or
yeah,
the other way around. I was older than I would have guessed.
Yeah. So okay,
but it makes sense
already
because
in high school at that point.
I guess we would have. Yeah, so this would have been in college for a few years, I guess. Yeah, it makes sense, I guess, because we did have that at the beginning. Yeah, I think I got this for either Christmas or my birthday, probably that year, maybe. But I think I had Super Mario 64 and Cruisin' USA. I know were my first two games, which I still have the instruction booklets too, but lost both of the games at some point a long time ago. So there is that. So what did you guys think of the controller when you first got this? Because I remember this also being like pretty controversial with like the three udders that you could milk as you were playing, that was like, how are you supposed to hold this thing? It's crazy.
I feel like go ahead, Brett.
Well, I didn't really have a thought, so if you gotta have a thought, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it took some getting used to. I mean, ideally for certain games, like it always felt really counterintuitive for shooters. It didn't seem like there was a standard way of doing it. Like Turok handled completely different than GoldenEye, for example. And there would be some ways, I used to, my gimmick was to like put my index finger when I was playing GoldenEye underneath the trigger, just tap it as quick as possible. But, it's still like a really strange controller. Like it's comfortable in some ways. And then I feel like they never ever really use the D-pad for anything. So
yeah,
it's fine. I'd say it's probably like a 7 out of 10. And I'm probably being generous.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty
go ahead.
As far as just like comfort, it was a good controller. It was like it was designed well. It felt good to hold, but yeah, it was just awkward to go like from it was like, oh, I gotta use a D-pad, I gotta move my whole hand over, and it's like, it was kind of weird that way. But as far as as far as comfort, yeah, I have no complaints there. It was a pretty solid controller, and the ability to have the peripherals plugged into it was it was really kind of unique at that point. Well, obviously it was the only one like it, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so
that's a good point about the peripherals, the memory card and the Rumble pack later that you could add in there. I also wanted to say that my controllers all had two phases of their life. One before Mario Party came out and one after Mario Party came out, because
great point.
When you're using your palm to spin that middle stick, it was an advantage, but it definitely fucked up the controllers. So
Yeah. How else are
if-
you gonna make that light bulb bright so the ghost
It-
doesn't get you?
exactly.
What if
Yeah.
they thought about that? They're like, God, we're gonna sell so many controllers with this game.
Right? Oh my gosh. Your palm gets all ripped up when you're, rubbing one out there to win the game. But anyway.
Weren't there at least one first person shooter that would let you use two controllers? So it's kind of a dual stick
Ooh, I don't
thing in
know.
that way.
I feel like there's a episode, a really good YouTube channel called Stop Skeletons from Fighting, and he's done something where like these monstrosities where one of them is playing with two analog sticks for something. I think it's
Okay.
Perfect Dark, actually, if I'm not mistaken. I'll find out.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard of that. But that's fun. So we mentioned expansion pack was on this. This was always the weird one too, because the N64 shipped with the jumper pack in the little slot, and you were like, "What the hell is this thing?" Which I'm reading now was really only there to stop the connections that would eventually go to the expansion pack, which they must have clearly had planned out by that point because it was built into the system. So, and then they had some weirdos here too. They had the 64 disk drive, which I don't even know. Did that ever actually come out?
That never came out in America. I think
Never
it
was in America.
in
Okay.
in,
Yeah, rest of this is just
Japan.
chords and crap. So, one thing I did think also should be mentioned though, I'm probably wrong on this because I was trying to Google it earlier and there was some Magnavox or some crap that kept coming up. But like to me, this was the first time I had played 4 people at a time locally. Like, and that was a huge selling point for this system. Like you could sit down and play so many of their games 4-player. Like my memories of this system is just a lot of multiplayer games.
A great point. Yeah.
Yeah, this was definitely the first time where games felt like a party. Like you're like you just get a bunch of people together and actually like play a game together. And yeah, that is definitely heavily weighed in on my my top 5.
Nice.
Yeah. I feel like that was I eventually had both consoles at the time, but that's where you didn't have to buy a multi-tap to be able to play, 4 players on whatever wrestling game or 4 players to Twisted Metal, whatever sort of multiplayer game to be on PlayStation.
Just had to buy 4 of the
just more
$60
controllers.
controllers.
Yeah, just 4 controllers.
And the Rumble packs if you wanted those. And then
AAA batteries.
they weren't dumb.
Yeah.
They knew what was going on here. All right. Well, we'll jump back in here. I think we're good to go on the top 5 and 64 games. Let's hit into it here. I'll keep the order going with me. My number 5 game is one that has been mentioned again. So tonight really might come down to just the overall score. But my number 5 is Perfect Dark. This one had, as I recall, again, it's been a while since I played this one. It had a single player mission mode for sure, but like the multiplayer was clearly like where this one shined, I think. And it had a lot of fun modes to it too. King of the Hill, and I don't remember if it had like a capture the flag. It had the like basic shoot each other or kill each other type mode too. But I know it had King of the Hill. I can't remember if it had past that or not. But you had the fun weapons with like the laptop guns and like the variety of lasers that you had. And you had the alien people and the human people, and you could have the bots in there, which was huge too, because you could like basically change any game you wanted to have any difficulty or any combination of things, and if you killed like Hardbot, you were like, oh, I killed Hardbot, yeah. And I think there was one like that was past that too, like Insane Bot or something crazy. But a lot of good memories of this one, just like teaming up again with 3-4 people and just trying to like hold the hill while the computer's like trying to mow you down and take over the base. And it did have a fun single player mode. I don't remember all of it, but I remember it was like some wacky mission with aliens were on Earth or some crap, and it was fun. So Perfect Dark is my number 5 game.
So I think I was next in the order. I don't remember now.
I think so.
I think I was
Maybe
also
so.
Yeah.
All right, number 5 for me is the first game on the system, Super Mario 64. It was so cool to turn on this game, like the first game you got on the system, and like be able to move in like every direction and be able to like walk behind things, and just the full 3D kind of aspect of it was so cool. So and the gameplay was top notch, as the Mario games pretty much always are. Just just a lot of fun. Just the way you could move around and the strategies you could use for for getting around and defeating all the enemies and stuff. It like, yeah, because I don't really have any thoughts about it. I was gonna say something like the whole star system was kind of cool, but it wasn't like really crazy special or anything. But yeah, just fun all the way around. Super Mario 64.
All right, here. So I just finally came up with my top 5 here, just to keep it going. My 5th game is actually one that's already been mentioned. This shouldn't be a surprise, but I really love Super Smash Brothers. I thought it was kind of revolutionary for like, maybe this is the first time that Nintendo ever kind of pitted most of its characters all up into a single title, and brought all of its franchises together. And so it's first time that I kind of ever realized with like who Captain Falcon was. I had never played an F-Zero game, so I was like, who is this guy named Captain Falcon, and why is he so fast? And so I feel like the later games are really built onto that, but it's just a really fun, much like Smash Brothers. It was just one of those ones that hilarious things would happen in the game, and usually would involve one of my parents waking up or my friend's parents waking up because we were like squealing like middle school girls, and they one of their parents had to work in the morning. So yeah, great memories around that game.
Oh, sorry. All right, number 5 for me has been mentioned and will be mentioned probably. GoldenEye 007. There's not much that needs to be said about this, but it just absolutely knocked it out of the park in both single player and multiplayer gameplay. It would be a lot higher on my list because the memories of playing this are just fantastic. But unfortunately, that's where they stay because it just hasn't aged well. The frame rate alone, especially in multiplayer, just gives me a headache. And I know that there is a new re-release. They kind of re-released on both Switch and Xbox at the same time, but Switch got online multiplayer and Xbox got better frame rate and graphics. So I would definitely play the Xbox one, but I don't have an Xbox. So I might, find a friend someday who has that and try it out and enjoy the nostalgia. But for now, I just have very good memories of GoldenEye 007.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see the new one, how it plays or what your memory brings back with that,
Yeah.
Which is funny. I think we maybe mentioned this. I don't know if it was on the air or not too, but it seems like both Microsoft and Nintendo fucked up the re-release after all these years of like, you get the online player and you get the good graphics, and you're like, come on, really? Hope you couldn't work out a better deal than
no
that.
one's happy there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was like the remake of the game that came out, I forget when, like 10 years ago too, but that did not do well either, I don't think. So anyway. Okay, my number 4 game is one that I have spent a lot of time playing with one of you in my life, and this is WCW NWO Revenge, the wrestling game, which I remember Brett throwing his controller pretty hard at one time at a friend's house.
Never happened. These are lies.
Never happened. Yeah, it's like that window never chipped itself either, right? Anyway, moving on. No, this is just fun. It had a big roster. We were all big into wrestling as teenagers, so this was kind of makes sense now. I'm thinking like timeline. This game system would have been out with the roster in the game here for this, but just a lot of match types, and it was really fun to like try to grapple against each other and do moves against each other, and it had like pretty rudimentary, but it did have like entrance music and arenas and stuff like that. So it was kind of a preview of what I gather wrestling games have turned into nowadays, although I haven't played any of them. But
So when you
always
get
a lot of fun.
Steal chairs out of the audience.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, you like reach in blindly and they would like give you a random weapon.
Yeah.
That's right. You never knew what you were gonna get.
That's fun.
And Dave, I was go back here. The frame rate wasn't bad in 007 as long as you had rocket launchers turned off. All right. Just kidding. That was the worst though. When 3 people shoot like those and it just slogged down to nothing.
Just like pauses for 2 seconds.
Yeah. That's my number 4, WCW NWO Revenge.
Love it. All right. Number 4 for me. is Super Smash Brothers, and you know, Blue already went through all this pretty well, but this was probably the first game where it just like things felt like, well, no, I guess I could maybe not say that, but I'll just say like things that was like really competitive. Like, so you had all the party games like Mario Kart 64 or Mario Party, all those things where you're competing against each other, but it's like this game just maybe just like the fighting aspect, I'm not sure, but it really felt like personal at times. But yeah, it was just really cool, just all the combinations you could do it. I would always I used Pikachu for like my character like pretty much all the time. I just remember everybody being like pissed off because I just be raining lightning down on people from across the map, and they'd be like, "Stop it!" But yeah, it's just great memories with that. Just a lot of fun. Yeah. So
we should spin around like who's our favorite Smash Brothers character of that original roster.
Oof.
I've never played a lot of Smash Brothers, and the only character I've ever had success with is Kirby, because I only have one move where I float above, I turn to a rock, I smash down. And it used to be, when playing with inexperienced players, that I could have some pretty good success by just spamming that one move over and over again. It has not proved to be a useful tactic in later years when everyone is much more experienced and much better at the game.
Yeah.
So for me, it's Kirby.
Yeah, for me, I think I had the same two characters through the first maybe like 2 or 3 iterations, and that was Samus and Ness. I still play as both. I play
Right.
as Ness more in recent times than I do Samus, just because the moves I like to do with Ness more. But those are definitely the two that I always played as.
Nice. I'd say probably I'm with you on Pikachu, and then I love to like infuriate people with Jigglypuff and just falling asleep and smashing them off the screen.
That used to work so well too.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Is me or
Yep.
Red, is it you for
I
4?
think
Blue,
Blue
you're
on
right.
your 4. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Consult
let me
your
take a
list.
peek. Here's my list.
Maybe don't go by your list.
Yeah, it's going by seat of my pants. Number 4, gonna go Batman Beyond. Just kidding. That game's horrible. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
I was like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I was really bought in the hype of Episode 1 and what a disappointment it has become. Though it made some really good video games. But Episode 1 Racer, I remember reading Electronic Gaming Monthly, and I was like, okay, what games do I want like on my Christmas list? And I remember reading a review for Episode 1 Racer, and they were like, picture Beetle Adventure Racing, but you're going 600 miles an hour. And I was like, yes, this is the game that I want. And then you just slam the walls and explode, but then there's a lot of depth to it because you could customize your pod racers, and the different tracks required you to have different upgrades and tuning to your pod racer. And then there was a lot of I guess circuits that you could kind of complete. So I really liked that one, and I thought it was a game that was basically built out of a single couple scenes, or of the single first, how do you make a game from just like one little distraction and the Phantom Menace? But they did a great job of it.
Distraction. It's like the coolest part of the thing.
Yeah.
Well, except maybe the lightsaber duel.
Did you miss the trade embargo?
Yeah.
I can't remember and could you pick different drivers in that game or not? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
Okay.
there's like some that had better handling, and then you could fine tune their. So there's a lot of dimensions to it. But yeah, I for the longest time would play as Anakin, and then realized there was one guy that had really awesome maneuverability and acceleration. I was like, why have I been wasting my time?
It's a life realization moment.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
All right. Number 4 for me is, to borrow a term you used earlier, Cody, a pet game. It's Space Station Silicon Valley. I don't know if any of you ever played this, but you basically crash land on a planet, and you are a tiny little robot spider or something. I honestly can't remember, but basically the idea is that you you find these different creatures and you like take them over one at a time. And so whatever creature you are, you have the abilities of that creature. Maybe you can jump really high or go really fast, or open a door or something. And it's just a great little concept, executed pretty well, like decades before Mario Odyssey did it. They did have one problem where one of the collectibles in the game, and I can't actually say if I ever got this far, but I heard about it later. One of the collectibles in the game is not collectible. You can find it, you can go up to it, you can walk right through it, and the game doesn't actually like collect it. And of course, this is in a time when there's no way to like patch the game or update it in any way. So, and I don't think it sold well, so they didn't do like a second run of it that fixed the problem. So you could never truly 100% the game. But that's just a little factoid. It was tons of fun and one of my favorites.
So are you saying you never beat this game?
I don't think I ever did.
I smell a challenge. Get back to us on that. Okay. My number 3 game, it has been mentioned unsurprisingly because it's so fantastic, and it is Mario 64, which has already been said, but just, again, the variety of like the what were they technically? The caps, I guess, that you could get, the different caps, which is really just a kind of a play on some of the ideas they were introducing in Super Mario, but just having the metal and the flying and the different things. But when 3D, when you're flying, is pretty damn cool versus like old school Mario 3 where you're just kind of blipping across the screen. That was pretty cool. And those, as soon as you were in a world, or like the swimming and the flying stages, both, as soon as there was like that third dimension and they were like, collect the coins, you were like, I can't fucking collect the coins. I don't know where to turn because it's in 3D. Like it was very hard, but this one still holds up really well. Like I got the All-Stars, whatever the thing was called, All-Stars again, for the Switch that came out, which was on it. This is another game, actually, I was halfway through, but I didn't go back and finish this one because I've already played through it several times to the end. And who could forget that epic ending when you got Yoshi and you could do nothing with him? But super cool.
What a reward for getting 120 stars.
Right?
Yeah. It's got Jolly Roger Bay.
What's that?
You've got like one of the top songs, Jolly Roger Bay.
I played that in class last week or this week, actually.
Yeah.
No joke, actually did. So that's mine. Great game, still holds up today. I mean, Brett said play control is really tight and good level design, good variety of what you had to do in the stages. I liked that they would give you the name of what you're trying to do, and then you had to like trying to figure out in the stage like what that related to try to find where that star was at. That was a nice little touch as well. So cool game. Number 3.
All right, my number 3 is Mario Kart 64, which Dave has mentioned, and was great about this. Really, the biggest part of this one for me was was probably the 4-player mode, the battle modes, but still, solo racing was really great. Those tracks is just a lot more just classics, and so much fun, and just working your way up from the 50 cc's and trying to get up and like stay on the track on the higher speeds is definitely a real challenge. It took a lot of practice and like getting used to the tracks and stuff, but just great all around. And obviously the Mario Kart on the 64 had the battle mode, but there was just something about it on the 64 in the 3D just made it so much better. And yeah, it just lots of fun on that. Lots of swearing as well. But that's how it goes. So Mario Kart 64.
All right, so my number 3 might be a little controversial, but I have to go with Majora's Mask. Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. I think I didn't truly appreciate this game until I played it through maybe like 10, maybe I forget when the 3DS re-release came out on it. And there's so many dark themes that I never really had put together. And like the Japanophile in me started to realize, like, if you're a Japanese audience, there's a lot of themes of grief and death and hopelessness. And if you're ready to have a midlife crisis and wonder what the significance of your life is, go ahead and play this game and realize you could just start picking up like a what is it, Carl Sagan book, or just realize that we're a speck of dust on a planet that's floating and our existence means nothing. But it's a wonderful game, I'll tell you that. It's great. And getting all the masks and becoming fierce deity, that's a lot of fun. And then, you know, there's just really neat things that are also a bit challenging because you have to work around a clock that's constantly ticking down. And, you know, at first when you're starting the game, you're like, how am I, like, it took me forever to get through the first couple of dungeons because you couldn't slow down or speed up time at that point. And I was like, man, I suck at this. But, you know, with some persistence, you get a rhythm, and it's a pretty fun game to go through. And, you know, there's a lot of depth to the characters. So like you get to maybe do one thing to advance a couple side quests, and then you can go advance the main story. And, you know, it's got that classic Zelda type feel where there's still a lot of exploration, but you're really kind of confined in a way to, you know, pick and choose how you want to approach the game, which is, you know, by that point, I don't think many games had approached storytelling in that way or progression of events. So that's my 3.
I really like Majora's Mask on paper, just like the time loop, Groundhog Day-ness of it, but the clock always counting down was too stressful for me. I just couldn't enjoy myself. So that's why my number 3 pick is the superior N64 Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or Ocarina, however you want to pronounce it. I already talked about my love for this game on the Best of Zelda podcast episode, so go listen to that one after this one. I will share a little tidbit that I didn't then. My sister and I, we started like figuring out how to play like famous songs on the ocarina. Like we'd figure out which notes would be, and we were writing it down on paper, and then we were like, we should put this online. So we put on GameFAQs, we like published our findings, and it was like a big hit. It was like a whole big thing. And at the time I was very proud of that. But just to sum up, it was a really important game to me, that just an amazing experience, and it really took the series into the 3D world in the most successful way possible. It's replayable, it's so much fun. I really love it. That's my number 3.
I love it. And you mentioned here, as a quick segue, or a tangent rather, but you mentioned GameFAQs, and I feel like there's a good debate here, because I've had friends that criticize me for using the same word. They're like, no, it's with their nose turned up to me, game FAQs. And I said, what the fuck are you talking about? Is GameFAQs.
Yeah, fact that.
It's like, I'll concede GIF or GIF. I'm not going to get into that one, but GameFAQs.
Sure, GameFAQs.
That's the hill you want to die on, correct me? No.
I mean,
fuck off.
It is weird because if I just saw the letters, I'd be like, well, when I say facts or FAQ, I'd probably say FAQ if I saw like just the 3 letters on a website, you know, but there it's got to be GameFAQs. You can't stop mid-word and start saying letters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doesn't even fucking make sense.
On continuing 3 in the Zelda theme, can we just bring up the notion of that Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time? Actually, isn't that how one of those 2 games informs the story of Wind Waker, right?
Oh Jesus, I'm not even.
Yeah, at the end of Wind Waker, you find out that it's before Ocarina of Time.
Yeah,
sure you do.
Or it's one of the 2. It's like the Hero of Time doesn't come along, and so there's something that intertwines with Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. I forget. Shigeru Miyamoto made a timeline, and it just confused me. But I was like, no, okay, I love it. But anyhow, sorry for that.
The convoluted Zelda timeline is up there in my things I don't need in video games. Just like when I had just restarted playing Assassin's Creed 2, I installed it the other night and was like, I should not play any of this tonight because I should go to bed. And then I quickly remembered that Assassin's Creed remembers or uses this mechanic where they have the like meta story between the Templar and the Knights or Templar and the Assassins that's like overtop all the games in the real world. And I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. Just so then I kept playing just to get past the boring part where I was walking through a warehouse until I could get to the Renaissance in Italy to start killing people.
Yeah, you just want to be knifing people and sticking them in hay bales. Got it, Cody. Yeah, you're just a murderer.
I mean, I just want to play the boring parts. Like, let me play the fun part. Anyway. All right, my number 2 has obviously been mentioned here. We got a lot of hits on this. This is Mario Kart 64 for me. It was a close one, but I went with Mario Kart 64 here. As mentioned, the racing in this was just so fun, going to 3D. I mean, it's never fails to amaze me how successful Nintendo was in taking all of their franchises into 3D and being really successful with them. Zelda, Mario Kart, like they were all successful transitions of that old property in a new dimension, literally, but like a new way to present all those things. And this was fantastic. I enjoyed, like Brett said, the multiple racing classes you could have for the speeds. I think Nintendo Power had a contest that was like you had to get, I forget if it was Mario Raceway or Luigi Raceway, down to like some time. And I was like, you can't even get that low in this game. And then like started to read more and more about how people were like doing corners and techniques and slides and like where you could maybe hit a shortcut. And I played that track like hundreds of times. They had like the ghost that would follow you for your old thing, you know, so you could see if you were faster than your old time trial or not. And sure enough, like you could get down that fast. Like I ended up with like 5 or so runs that were below that speed. And I was like, this is insane. Like who knew you could do this? It's crazy. But this is just great. The stages, Dave or somebody mentioned really iconic stages. And, you know, you still remember them today where some of the shortcuts are and things of that nature. And Brett mentioned the battle mode. I remember the time I got grounded coming home from Brett's house because he and I and our friend Joe decided to play best of 100 battle mode.
That's right.
Best of 100.
Terrible idea. Terrible.
Yeah, well, a terrible idea when you play 3-player because, as it turns out, whenever anybody got ahead, the other 2 would just gang up on him in the next battle. And so there was a like I distinctly remember we were at a point towards the end of the night that was like 33 to 33 to 32 or something. Like it was that close heading into the last couple races. And I ended up getting home at like 3 in the morning or something ridiculously late. And my dad was still awake. And he's like, because we were supposed to go to the Tough Man contest the next day in Sheboygan. And he's like, yeah, you're not going to that. You're grounded. And I was like, son of a bitch. But anyway, it was still worth it for the memory because I still have that memory today. So that's my number 2, Mario Kart 64.
That's awesome. All right. Number 2 for me. So Cody mentioned the sequel of this game, and for me, this game is the one that sticks out in my memory more. But really, they're pretty much interchangeable in gameplay. I honestly I don't know which one we played more, but I have WCW NWO World Tour.
Oh, okay.
And it was just great because at that point we were you know, our friend group in high school, we were, you know, very much into wrestling, watching it pretty much every week.
Yeah.
And you know, watching all the pay-per-views and stuff. So this game just like this game just, you know, really just fused into our lifestyle as it was already anyways. And yeah, just the crazy battles, the tag team mode. That one that Cody mentioned, and I know it was the other game, but if I'm remembering this correctly, there was basically like it was like an hour-long match or something. It was like a
I think it was
we played like it would play like a time limit match or something. It was like an hour long.
Yep, I think that's right. I should say that.
It literally was like down to the last couple minutes, and I had him down to like 0 stamina, and I was like at full stamina, and I was like tried to pin him or something. And then he got out, and then suddenly they just like went crazy and like wiped me out. Like 10 seconds left in this hour-long match. And yeah, I was not pleased with it, but I do have that memory. And yeah, that just so many good times just getting everybody together and hanging out and playing that game and just having our tag team wrestling matches. So yeah, again, I for me this is pretty much interchangeable with Revenge. I don't know that one had like more modes than the other. I don't even remember anymore. Like that would set it apart.
I don't
But
remember. The second one had like Raven's Flock, I think, in the not the NWO, maybe it was
yeah,
NWO.
it
I don't
definitely had
know.
different characters, but it felt like they were more or less the same. But
I bet those character models would look terrible if we went back and looked at them today.
oh yeah, it was just awful. But so many good memories. WCW NWO World.
All right, so my number 2 is Star Wars Rogue Squadron. I with hopefully Dave can appreciate this, but I was a huge fan of Star Wars X-Wing on the PC and played that game so much as a kid. And then just naturally, this was kind of a polygonal evolution of this. And man, is it good? It's, got a variety of stories that are kind of based within, a lot of the extended universe. It's probably not canon anymore with how things go in Star Wars, but I heard that they were making a Rogue Squadron TV show at some point, or that was a consideration. But this one is great because it used the expansion pack for what I think it just really helped frame rate. I didn't really necessarily do anything additional. But
it increased the resolution, if I remember
that's
correctly.
okay. Yeah. So that was one thing where it actually provided some sort of benefit. But I just remember really liking, all the levels that were there. There was a lot of challenges that you could get different medals based on your performance, whether or not you're accurate with your lasers, if you like lost civilians, whatever. Regardless, I just played that one tons with a friend of mine. We would basically like we'd come up with strategies and like, oh, I got a gold medal on this one. Like, okay, come over to my house, help me get the gold medal on this stage. And that was when we were going through a huge like Star Wars phase. If that's not surprising, since one of my other games was in the top 5. But yeah, this was a fantastic game. I feel like, where I think Star Fox is a bit better is the fact that it's got some 4-player multiplayer. But for this one, I think the campaign for me was a little bit more appealing, and was out of a franchise that I naturally already kind of, or a universe that I all really had a fond relationship with. So that's my number 2.
Star Fox did have multiplayer, but it was like you'd make the strafe run towards your opponent, and then if you missed, you were both like 20 seconds to turn around and go back.
Yeah.
Just do a barrel roll.
Do a barrel.
All right. My number 2 has already been mentioned, but deserves to be mentioned again, much higher up the list. Imagine that you are a game publisher and a developer comes to you and says that they want to make like a very arcadey racing game. And you're like, oh man, are there going to be a ton of tracks? Oh yeah, ton of tracks, ton of great tracks. Are there going to be like really cool shortcuts you can take? Oh my God, you're not going to believe the shortcuts. Incredible shortcuts everywhere you look. Oh, how many cars are you going to be able to choose from? Oh, one. You're going to be able to choose from one car. Oh, well, what car is it? Oh, it's a Volkswagen Beetle. Oh, well, shit. All right. Yeah, sign us up for that shit. Beetle Adventure Racing was just like a favorite in my house. My siblings and I loved that game, played so much of that game. So like I said, there's only one car, there's only the Beetle, and it's the paint job determines its stats. So you would get better and better cars, and like it was always a thing where like the better the car, the pinker the car, the more flowers it had on it. And like there was a rainbow alien car that was the second best, but if you play all the way to the end, if you unlocked everything, you got the police car. And this was the best reward, because if you turn on the siren, all the other cars would pull over and move out of your way. And it's just a great, I mean, you're just doing victory laps at that point anyway, because you've totally dominated the game. And I think that's just a fantastic reward. And just to go back to the shortcuts, they were everywhere. You like see a building and be like, oh, that window looks a little different. You crash into the window, there's a shortcut. There's a bridge, it's got a little ramp. You go off the ramp and you think, like any other game, you're just falling into the chasm. But this one, like you fall into a cave and there's an alien spaceship in the cave. And it just had something cool everywhere you looked. The driving was super tight and just a lot of fun. So for me, my number 2 is the classic Beetle Adventure Racing.
I don't think I've ever played that game. I missed out
What
on
What is
it.
wrong with you, Cody? Yeah, I mean,
Gotta come over.
Yeah,
I don't
it's fun.
I don't think I ever played that game. I mean, I know of it, but I don't think I've ever played it.
I remember, forget the premise too. There was the points that would be scattered on the track as well, Dave. What were the significance of those?
I think those were to unlock new vehicles, if I remember
Okay.
correctly. But yeah, that's a good point. It also had like a sense of exploration. You weren't just trying to get from point A to point B. You were trying to explore every nook and cranny and pick up the points crates so that you
Yeah.
could unlock new shit too. Good call.
Yeah.
Wow. Brett, have you played this game?
I don't think so.
All right,
That's
well,
not familiar.
I'm glad to hear that because on eBay right now for $32, you can get a 2-pack of Beetle Adventure Racing and WCW NWO Revenge. So I expect that to be in your cart by the end of this podcast. Looks like I can get a copy of Beetle Adventure for like $20.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
worth
then
it.
just
I
come
still
over
got
to
my
my
copy.
house. We'll play
Yeah,
it.
You got
Yeah,
it
I
there?
still got mine too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right.
this should be our next time we have a get together. We get to play at least a couple circuits of Beetle Adventure Racing.
That's a fantastic
Awesome.
idea, though. Honestly, next time we get together, we should do like some retro games.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic idea.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Well, I think we're back to me. Yep. My number one is
Number one.
not gonna shock here. It was closer this year though than I think it's ever been. It's GoldenEye 007 is my number one. Mario Kart put up some real competition this time for it though, so maybe I'm starting to wean off it a little bit. But the problem for me is the one player mode in this was pretty decent. I think it's underrated actually. If you do the missions and then if you did different difficulties, they actually added or subtracted objectives to the missions, which made them different depending on how hard you were playing. And it could get pretty brutal. The character art has, as you all said, not aged well in this at all. But it was really the multiplayer that was the standout hit on this one. Just running around those arenas. And I mean, man, there was, I don't even know, 10 of them or something. And you got to know them so well. And so then it, like the meta game became like you're not running around exploring and shooting people. It was like who could manipulate the environment the best to their advantage in that battle based on the weapon. And like, can I, I'm going to run and gun around this corner because I can kind of guess what corner you are in. I feel kind of bad. I've never had the experience. I've seen those pictures online of the people that did the like dividers on their TV to like make it a true no exploration. I'd almost be curious to try that once just to see what that would have been like, because half the time when you played, you watched the other people's screens more than you watched your screen, to see what they were doing, where they were at, where they were trying to hide. Fantastic. But I don't know if this will ever be dethroned as the top N64 game. Just memories alone. I mean, we played a ton of this in Roger City back in the day at those same wrestling parties Brett was talking about, and college, obviously, even in my classroom, I finally this year took in the old West Hall Bond trophy that's in there. So I got that on my back shelf in my room, my classroom now, and I have like a big explanation of like what the hell this old trophy is that's in there. But just playing the like 1 or 2 times a month sophomore year, we would just have the big tournaments with anywhere from 10 to 15 16 people that would sign up for it. We'd have different rules for each one. It was no hits, or we had one that was like a tag tournament one, and we had big brackets with losers. And we kept track of stats and kills and how many times we won, and it was super fun. I don't know how many played total, like 13 or 14 tournaments. I think I won like 10 of them maybe. But I didn't win the last one. Dan Welling, who hosted the one episode here, won the last one. So he is the rightful owner of the trophy, technically, though I did steal it back from him since I purchased the trophy.
They're so good there. I mean, that's the nice thing about that game is there is so much variety, like, and both on the single player and on the multiplayer. For me, like, we used to get a kick out of like being able to unlock each cheat that would be stored on each stage.
That's a good one. I forgot about those.
Like, there's some of them that were just hilarious. Like, Big Head mode is easy. That was easy to unlock. But then there was one where like we found out that you could do fast motion, and then how hilarious that would be to like try to play through a level, especially on the levels where like you'd have an alarm and then soldiers would come. It's like the alarm would be triggered, and then like immediately in your face, the soldiers would just be shooting you. So there's that. And then I feel like there was just so much variety with like if you played mines, you could throw a mine or a proximity mine onto a box, pick it up, and then like it would explode if somebody went to pick it up, or like you could trigger it and you knew where somebody was on the map. So if you're like watching screens, you could just detonate a mine near somebody when they went to go pick up a box of mines.
I think the
Lots of little weird things.
game always gains a bonus point for everybody too, just from that tiny part of the one level in the facility where you fight in the bathroom. I think that was just always a little +1 for everybody too.
And if you could get back up in the vent with the trick.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
On another thing I want to say about GoldenEye, the level that's just like wide open snowfield, and you have a sniper rifle
Yeah.
to take out the
Mm.
guards in the distance. That unlocked something in me where I freaking love sniper rifles in games now. Resident Evil 4, love it. Fallout New Vegas, love it. I love sniping in those games, and it all started with GoldenEye and the sniper rifle in GoldenEye.
That's
Nice.
interesting. I like using snipers also. I never would have put that on that though, but that's maybe a good point.
One, just so we're posing some ideas here for playing
That or
retro
Mario
games,
Brothers. It was one of the two.
we should definitely do some GoldenEye. I always like the rule set of like golden gun, but auto aim is off. Like,
Oh,
ever
okay.
do that one? Because it's just like, this kind of like an old Wild Wild West duel where you're just constantly shooting across the map or running like right up to somebody and just, offing them.
Golden Gun
Right.
was fun and bad at the same time.
It is.
So it was like, we got to kill the guy with the golden gun, and we've given him 3 more kills. Okay.
All right. I assume you're done there, Cody.
Yeah, I'm super intrigued to
So-
see what you guys all have here, though.
I'm just going to continue right on with that.
Oh!
My number one is GoldenEye as well. So let's just keep this conversation rolling.
Oh my God, look at that art.
Ah, wow. I don't know
Is
which
that
picture is
legit?
better.
That's an image I just pulled off the internet from some odd job from the 64. Of course, the picture I picked
Interesting.
is like a very low res picture, so it's probably may not be as bad as that. But
Oh no, it was not better on N64 than what you're showing us.
So,
No,
one for
absolutely
one.
not.
But yeah, I mean, GoldenEye for me was number one on the 64. I would say pretty confidently. I think that was the game I probably played the most on the 64. Just lots of just getting everybody together and just having fun in multiplayer. What you guys said about it pretty much covers it all. I mean, the campaign mode was fun. Yeah, the definitely the performance of the game was pretty poor at times, but the gameplay was fun. The multiplayer was amazing and just chaotic and like just people just like screaming and yelling about everything that's going on just constantly. It was just energy all the time. And say that all the different weapon combinations, the multiplayer actually, you could refresh it up. You could just like switch weapons and like felt like a different game. You definitely could. You didn't get tired of it, nearly as quickly that way. But then the one that you guys forgot to mention is slappers only mode.
Oh God.
Oh hell
where
yeah.
where a single slap kills you. And
That's the best.
then, of course, the best thing to do was to just take Odd Job because he was already like the shortest character, and then
You can't
crouch-
pick Odd Job. That's
crouch with
bullshit.
him, and then like if you're standing next to somebody, they legitimately cannot see you unless they look down. You just slap them right in the junk
Oh
and
my God.
go on about your business. So, yeah, I don't know. I can say enough about it. The game, it was just so much fun in the multiplayer.
Oh, God.
And yeah,
When's the last
Yeah.
time anybody has played this game?
It's been a long time. For me.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
least probably 20 years.
All right, I'm gonna do a pledge on the air. I'm gonna play through this.
GoldenEye?
Yeah, I'm gonna see how it goes.
Cool.
nice.
We'll see how fast we get to it. Maybe I'll stop Assassin's Creed and go right to this. It is like
Yeah.
I think it's the one system my kids haven't actually seen out and hooked up to the TV though. So I guess that also kind of says something about it.
The best video output that you can get, because if you want to play it on modern display, it just depends on whether or not you have an old CRT somewhere, but you could find S video is its best video output. So if you have a TV that has S video inputs,
Did the N64 have S video capabilities? I thought
Yep.
that came later. Oh wow,
Nope.
okay.
Yeah, they made an official SVDO cable.
Is that the one that has the box with the like line in the middle of it down on the?
That's like the one with the like 5 or 6 little prongs.
Yeah, it's a round plug.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that help GoldenEye? I don't get the sense that like the cables are the problem with
No,
N64.
Yeah,
all
I
it
think
will
you're right.
make is just the video to be a little bit more crisp. That's it.
Okay.
I'll
Okay,
try to
fair
do
enough.
I'll try to do the lowest resolution I can find, and on an
That-
HD TV.
Well, then you got to figure out whether or not your TV can support a 240p signal. That's the other challenge.
It's gonna break the TV. It's fine.
Yeah, you're gonna have some severe burn in.
240 sweet ass pixels. Wow.
Yeah. Odd Job's just gonna be burnt in on your fancy TV forever.
All right, Blue, what you got in your number one spot?
So I'm gonna get GoldenEye 007 off of at least as heavily weighted as it currently is, but I'm gonna go Ocarina of Time. I have to say that this is probably one of my top Zeldas. I don't know if it's, dethroned Link to the Past for me. I think Ocarina of Time is a bit better than Majora's Mask to me. But my gosh, was this like the game that, it caused me to really just fall in love with the series. I never really enjoyed the original NES one as much. I think the Super Nintendo one is fantastic, but this was the first Zelda game that I actually owned, and so it really set me down a path to like enjoy the other series, other games within the series. I mean, there's just so much to it. I liked the concept of the time travel and going back and forth was really neat. Game mechanic. There's lots of little Easter eggs, and one in particular, there's this race that you do with the mailman, and you have to like race him to a certain point. And my friend and I were convinced, like, certainly we could beat him. And then it's, being dumb, naive middle school kids, we probably spent far too much time seeing if we could actually beat him. But it's just amazing. It's a great game. I think it's probably, maybe some of the nostalgia is worn off if I went back and played through it again. But I think, I played through the 3DS version and it still held up.
Yeah.
I think it's probably easily like it will be probably a top 10 Zelda for me forever.
And here I thought we had some great debate going over Majora's Mask versus Ocarina. Turns out,
Yeah,
you were just agreed with me the whole time. Thanks a lot.
I agree. Yeah, I like Majora's Mask, but Ocarina of Time is much, I think it's the better game in the series, at least on N64.
I had a hard time with Majora's Mask because there were all the masks, and I didn't know how to get like 2/3 of them.
Yeah, you need.
I'd have to look it up, which kind of ruined it. But I didn't know how else to get them, see what they did. So,
yeah.
All right. Number one for me has been mentioned twice already, but again, I feel it deserves to be higher, and that is Blast Core. I fucking love Blast Core. Oh my god, this game is so good. Just the fact that it essentially has two different modes. One where you're coming in racing against the nuclear armed truck that's going to blow up the world unless you clear out the buildings. And then when you're done with that, you get to go back into the level and just destroy the rest of the buildings just because. Like, there's no thematic reason for it.
I love it.
But you just get to do it. And it had a ton of great secrets. It was a challenging game, mostly because a lot of the vehicles like sucked on purpose.
Yeah.
Like Backlash especially. God damn, that thing was awful. But in the most fun way. And the best thing about the game for me is that it just goes on and on and on. You think like, oh, I've got gold medals and everything. That's the end of the game. No, here's a bunch of extra levels. Oh, and after that you go to the moon, and after that you go to Mars, and there's always like another planet. It feels like you're never going to hit the end of the game. There's so much content there. I feel like they finished the game and still had like a year before the release, and they were like, well, fuck, let's add some more then. Let's add some more vehicles. Let's add some more races. Let's add some more planets that you can go to. It stops making sense thematically so quickly, but it doesn't matter because it's just so fun. I absolutely love Blast Corps. I play it whenever I can. I just played it like 2 months ago.
Wow.
Because it's so easy to go back to. I will play that game for the rest of my life. I love Blast Corps.
Now, how does that hold up graphically?
I think this is pretty
Fine.
good because it's isometric, right? It's top
Right,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Good call.
There's on some Xbox, I think 360. There's like a rare replay,
Yep.
collection.
Yeah.
That increases the resolution and frame rate a bit, and that's a nice way to play it. It takes out a little trick, a little bug in the game. You used to be able to like slide up to any building that was like difficult to get, and you press the button to get out of your vehicle, and your character goes do a few times because he can't get out of the vehicle, and then the building just explodes. And it was a great hack for some of the harder levels, and in that version they took it out, and it's a little tougher to play because of that.
Wow.
Some of those
Nice.
levels I really relied on that trick, to be honest. But it's a good version. It's a great way to replay it. But yeah, the original totally holds up. It's still very playable in my opinion.
Great. Great game to end on.
What's
That's
the total?
Frontier.
I feel like we have like a consensus just based on the two number ones there. I feel like that kind
I
of.
think GoldenEye was mentioned by all four of us, right?
Correct. Yes.
It was.
Okay, sorry,
it was,
Brett, I'll let you.
It's the only
yeah.
one actually. I'm looking at it. It's the only one that we all had on our list. So real quick here, taking the fifth spot together, Super Smash Brothers and Super Mario 64, 14 points.
Nice.
Sneaking in at number 4 with 15 points is Blast Corps.
Nice.
Number 3 with 21 points, Mario Kart 64.
Nice.
And number 2 with 23 points was Ocarina of Time, with GoldenEye taking the top spot with two number 1 votes. So
Hey, that
Yeah,
works.
that'll do it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. Good overperformance here by Blast Corps. Maybe not. Maybe not. Was on there.
Totally deserving of that.
So who didn't have
Ranking,
it? Blue?
I
Correct.
think it's a
Pick-
solid game. Just
Pick
wouldn't
too many
be,
Star Wars games.
You know. Sorry, I picked two.
You didn't even mention them.
Zeldas,
Oh, that's
two Star Wars games.
you didn't even mention Shadows of the Empire, the best Star Wars game for the 64, but that's just me.
Oh,
Nice try.
I kind of agree with that. I kind of agree. Yeah.
Yeah, what about Battle for Naboo, guys?
Is that a game?
I'm
Yeah.
not aware of that one at all.
Yeah, that's actually like another Rogue Squadron. Yeah,
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I don't know if it's
Sweet.
any good, but it's there.
All right. Well, dear listeners, if you were enjoying the episode tonight, we've certainly referenced other episodes we have out there as well. You could go check out some of the best Zelda games. We mentioned the Super Nintendo a few times in there. Even I think there was a Road Rash 64 comment in there, was there not, at the beginning tonight?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even the Sega episodes out there for you as well.
Ah.
And other episodes as well you can go look at, including all sorts of things that are out there. So I guess that's going to do us here for tonight, unless anybody has anything else.
No, it's good.
No,
All right.
way to go, team.
Yeah. Nice to get 4 people here back together hosting again. It's been a while since we've had 4, actually, too. Since the video game episode we had last. This must bring all the termites out of the woodwork, huh? I
Right.
guess that's what it is. So, all right, sweet. Well, until then, everybody, we'll say goodbye with the theme song sung to our number 1 that we chose. And we'll leave with that. So, all right.
And the best.
We'll see you next time, everybody.
start music.
Friends.
Fun.
Occasionally not disagree.
occasionally not
Friends
disagree.
occasionally not disagree. Friends
Our job.
not disagree.
Slap, slap.
Slap, slap. Yeah.